Pulling 3,000 and losing 3,000 in the eyes of others. The man is already obsessed with losing. But Kaiji watched the money slip away without panic, because he was awakening the dormant power within him. However, after a passionate 40-minute hold, Kaiji still failed to win a single move, but now he took a different approach. It actually outpaced me by 5,000, which left everyone stunned. Everyone thought Kaiji had gone mad. Kaiji's passion has finally paid off. Later he directly pocketed 10,000 for this bet. This time, his gambling stake returned to 38,000. At this moment, it was Kaiji's turn to make the dealer. His eyes lit up. If not now, then when? But seeing the momentum of Kaiji, everyone started placing small bets. After all, no one wants to be cannon fodder. Just as Kaiji was cursing, but the class monitor let out a mischievous laugh. He also said that the Case brothers had finally managed to act as a pretentious person. Then he would definitely help out the situation, and decisively withdrew 20,000 yuan. The younger brother nearby followed closely behind. My passionate horse. This is basically trying to make Kaiji privately distracted. Now Kaiji only has 38,000 in his hand. If he loses, it directly turns into liabilities. Seeing the other party's face showing blue, the squad leader just smiled. However, considering that Kaiji had an accident at work, he had to charge a fee equal to half of his salary. I enthusiastically negotiated the interest rate, and even loan sharks would say it was a huge expense after hearing about it. At this moment, even a fool would understand what Kaiji was doing. From the moment the squad leader started serving beer, he had already started planning. He first dragged Kaiji into the abyss of desire, then dragged him into this desperate gamble. Finally, through a gamble, he kept borrowing. From this point onward, Kaiji became his slave and the gambler beside him. Aside from the newly arrived 3 heroes, the others were just pawns arranged by the class president to lure Kaiji. Although each of them deeply hated the class monitor, to avoid being targeted, he could only helplessly help the exposed class monitor, still wearing a smile on his face, and told him not to force him. Even if you know, you can only keep blocking it. For such scumbags, Kaiji truly didn't want to lose. The moment he threw the seed into the bowl, he kept praying to heaven in his heart. We must win. In this way, not only could he pay back the class monitor as 60,000 yuan, and still use the remaining 18,000 yuan to get through the days ahead. Otherwise, he will never escape the fate of exploitation. And it was as if heaven had heard Kaiji's devout prayer. Unexpectedly, Kaiji managed to make 5 points. This score basically locked in the outcome, and the facts turned out just as Kaiji had predicted. Even 6 players, including number 3, lost to him. But these rotten fish and stinky shrimp are simply not worth it. The main ones are the class monitor and his followers who oversee the big table. The stone river was cast downward, and the suit was fixed at 4 o'clock. Next, it was the class monitor's turn. Despite his constant prayers, he only managed to produce 4 points. Seeing this, Kaiji couldn't help but excitedly start. Calling out to heaven ultimately favored him. He finally climbed out of the hell of being exploited by debts. However, while Kaiji was still delighted, the class monitor revealed the harsh truth.
Keidera-kun, the parent has been twice a day. Tavai, 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 tavai. You finish it in one go. You can see it without eyes or pinned eyes.
Only when the skin appears, she just spins it around like that, a rice bowl.
Wenting's words were unfazed by Kaiji, so why not do it again? Could I really lose all the money? But which one is the next second? The squad leader and Shehi held down the 20,000 again, and for a moment the scene fell into a dead silence. Seemed that they were determined to kill Kaiji tonight, but Kaiji wasn't afraid of these 2 villains. Right now his momentum is on the rise. He believed he could score the highest possible score again. As others threw their bets on the ground, Kaiji's first round of throws began, and he tossed the color into the bowl. But this time he didn't get a point, and unwilling to give up, he lost again. But it didn't happen. The squad leader was robust. His mouth almost split from behind his ears. Kaiji stared at the dice in his hand in disbelief. Logically, the probability of creating a suit is 50%, and the probability of making a suit 3 times is as high as 90%. My passionate Mazon can be so bad that he can't even manage once.
Bright and the 3rd leader of Shire.
Unexpectedly, Kaiji's luck was so good, he actually managed to get a 6-point suit on the last try, almost locked in the holy trap. Kaiji excitedly started laughing up at the sky, but the class monitor poured cold water on it at this moment. Spending 6 points doesn't guarantee a win. Maybe others could spend on newspapers, or 456, in short. No matter how small the odds, everyone still has a certain chance of winning. As soon as he said this, he almost made Kaiji laugh. You might still have a chance to admit it a few hundred times, but if you only throw it once, unless you can invite the god of gamblers to sing and win over the mocking class monitor, and still wear a smile. As soon as he said this, Kaiji laughed so hard. He laughed, mocking the class monitor. Must have your brain kicked by a donkey. I thought you were a gambler unexpectedly. It was a charlatan. Little did he know, he would soon pay the price for his arrogance. The stone box gripped the dice tightly. He immediately played the suit. My passionate Marx was stunned on the spot. He couldn't believe that someone else was even luckier than he was. But what happened next made Kai completely devastated. After the class monitor muttered mysteriously and tossed the dice, everyone was stunned. It was actually a 5 o'clock leopard. This made him win 3 times over plus 10 boxes, twice the previous winnings. Back and forth, Kaiji ended up with 20,000 in debt.
Unreasonable things.
In the days that followed, Kaiji became increasingly degenerate. No matter how hard he worked, whenever payday came, he only gets half his salary, and that is with an advance for the month after next. And with him were 6 co-workers. Like Kaiji, they were all victims who had just arrived and were tricked by the class monitor. Aspen wanted to endure a few months to pay off the debt, then save up to buy a day pass. But when you see the dazzling array of wheat cloth, in the end, he couldn't resist the temptation of delicious food. Now, he has completely fallen into decadence and degeneracy. The idea of saving 500,000 had long been thrown into the sky. Beyond the clouds, weary work erodes the soul of Kaiji, turning him into a walking corpse in the mine. On this day, one of the workers collapsed to the ground. He and another person carried him to the infirmary. But the moment the door opened, what greeted him was hell within hell. Countless workers have been left barely alive due to dust inhalation into their lungs. This is the end of the losers. Since then, Kaiji's desire to save money has been reignited. He was determined to get out of here. However, just a week later, Kaiji's steadfast heart began to waver again. He recalled the scenes of pleasure and pleasure before. Just as he was about to leap into the sea of desire, a large hand pressed him down. 3. He urged him to endure it. Then he would take his salary and go to the casino. After taking a chance and opening the private listen, he was completely numb. There really are fools like this in this world. After seeing his destitute state, he even dreams of reaching the peak of life through gambling. Meanwhile, Sanhao persuaded Kaiji while insisting that he had a winning formula. Originally, the 3 masters had a habit of recording patterns. He recorded every bet in detail, trying to find the direction of victory within. At first, I didn't want to pay attention to this fool, but after glimpsing the class monitor's record, suddenly, something felt off every time the class monitor made a good pattern. On both sides, there must be Shihe and Zhao accompanying each other. This situation was exactly the same as the night he had described. At this moment, Kaiji suddenly understood. It turned out this guy was actually cheating.
Arrested! How could he have been arrested? Arrested! 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 Arrested!
Next is a summary of this episode. Like most minors, case is the same. The class monitor easily captivates him with simple pleasures. Within him is the impulse and luck of a gambler. They believe that gambling gives them a chance to turn things around. This is also the internal reason why he was able to be brought into the bureau. And the class monitor is the most terrifying person in the whole scam. He never appears fierce or menacing, always wearing a smile on his face. He used the phrase helping out the show to take down the deadly rooster. Packaged as brothers together from Sanhao's notes, we learned that the class monitor performed a bizarre performance before the toss. It turned out to be his pre-cheating tactic, and after failing, Keith quickly fell from grace. This shows his resolve is not firm, easily influenced by circumstances and short-term desires. This is what he is like, an ordinary person. This also makes the subsequent awakening even more precious, but the worst was still the class monitor. This person first started the debt chain with small favors and favors. Then, in the game, psychological and cheating methods are used to ensure victory. Finally, by advancing salary and handling fees of up to 50%, establishing long-term exploitative relationships. Its profit model is not entirely based on gambling. Instead, it is a continuous and long-term life-sucking of public property.